tonight. Well, live if you're watching it's live. Yeah, I know you're not. So coming to you not live at some future point in time when our podcast finally blows up and people go back and watch our first 10 episodes. That's what we're doing right now. We're practicing.
We're practicing.
Sitting here in the garage. You say you're
Sitting
sipping
here in my
on an
living
old
room.
fashioned?
So yeah, I just made an old fashioned. Finished off a bottle of Riggers,
Okay.
bottle whatever their 6 year whiskey is.
Uh-huh.
Um,
Nice.
Watching some NHL Stanley Cup playoffs.
Oh man. Is it so it's the Stanley Cup, that's why you're watching?
Well, it's the playoffs.
Okay, the playoffs. That's why you're watching?
Um, and that's why I'm watching. I don't usually watch regular
Okay.
season hockey, but when Rennie and Clint came to town, uh, I guess that was 2 years ago or something. They it was during this time frame during the Stanley Cup playoffs. They're like, oh, we have to find a sports bar to watch the games. And at the time, I didn't know
Yep.
anything about it, and I was like,
Mhm.
okay. So I started watching it, and then I finished out watching the remainder of that Stanley Cup Finals series, and then watched it last year, and then now I'm watching it this year. And right now it's Vancouver and Edmonton. Edmonton is up 1-0 at the moment. In the series, Vancouver is leading 2-1. And I'm rooting for Boston overall, and they played earlier today, and they won,
Okay.
and they're they're playing Florida Panthers, and Florida's up 3-2 against Boston right now. So it was three to
Okay.
one
In a
going
series.
into tonight in the series. It was 3-1 going into tonight. Boston won, so now it's 3-2, and so then they'll play again.
How many games in a
First,
series?
well, there's potentially seven. First to four,
Mm.
and so right now it's Vancouver and Edmonton, and I don't really, I don't really have a favorite in these two guys, but if I had to pick one, I'd probably pick Vancouver just because I've been to Vancouver. Maybe I, I've also been to. I've also, yeah. I don't know. I don't really care about these two teams too much, but I still
Okay.
want to watch it just to see who wins.
Cool.
So it's on.
Nice. I am haven't been watching any TV tonight. So
Yep.
we I'm going with I'm probably gonna finish this off. The old mellow corn. Haven't had
Oh
any of that in a
yeah,
little bit. But
that's
that's
a good one.
thanks to my good buddy Jimmy. Got me that bottle right there.
Nice. That was nice of him. That's that
Hmm.
expensive stuff.
That's the expensive stuff right there. Yeah, you can tell because it says bottled in bond.
That's how you know.
Yeah. Hmm. Now I'm gonna have to
We
find
got to
another
try.
bottle.
We need to try that corn whiskey that Hillary gave me.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I haven't cracked it yet. I've been waiting for you.
You think it's as blonde as that?
Well,
It's a tinted
let
bottle,
me go
isn't it?
grab it.
Or can you tell?
I think it's
Oh
clear.
man, this stuff smells pretty good.
Yeah, I think it's a clear bottle. Yeah, it's clear, but it's a wine bottle, clear wine bottle.
Hmm. I'm not doing very good at my pipe tonight. My pack is not very good. Also, I think my matches are damp. I bought a new pipe.
Oh yeah, what is it?
Mm-hmm. It's a Kirsten. Um, so this is a Kirsten. It's basically my favorite pipe
Yep.
brand, just because of the story of it. I don't know, and because of how I started buying them, I just like them. But this would be, I think it's denoted as an A. So this particular pipe was made in the 30s. But I have other ones, and this is a big one. Like this one is a full-sized pipe, as big as they get. I mean, until you go with the full bent, and that's gonna feel bigger, but the body of it is still like this is a bit as big as it gets. And I have had their
Is that the one
pipe
like I
that's
brought
called
to
a
Seattle?
companion. Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is the one that you brought to Seattle,
Oh, okay.
I think. No, I might have sent you another one that was like I have one with a broken bit. Um, I have a I have a bent one, and I was hoping that you could get a new bit for it. That's the one I sent with you. I forgot. But this one, I believe, is the first one I bought. And then I ended up figuring out that it's one of the original. Like, I think that the company was started in like 36 or something like that, 1936. And this one would have been, she said, I emailed the lady who happens to be the granddaughter, I believe, of the guy who started it. And she said because of the markings on this thing, which it's in perfect condition, but because of
It
the
looks nice.
markings on it, she believes it to be from the 30s when her grandfather would have still been like making them himself, something like that.
That's
But
pretty cool.
it's big, and I like it for right here or on my front porch. But they have a model called the Companion or like Model K, and that one they would have uh, they would have marketed it as a pocket pipe. So it's a much more compact version. I mean, same shape and everything. Anyway, I've had multiple of them. I've given a couple away, and I've had my two favorite ones stolen out of my truck at different times. So I finally
Hmm.
bought myself another one. And
Nice.
I'm sure I've said this to you, but one of the one of the biggest bummers about having a pipe stolen um is like it was kind of a prized possession. Like it was something that I
Mm.
really liked, and I liked it for a lot of reasons. And then it gets stolen. And so the first one I'm pretty certain was stolen by some kids because of how it went down. Like they just rifled through
Is
my
that the
truck.
one that was
That was
parked in your
when
driveway?
it was parked in my driveway. It wasn't locked. And I went out there in the morning and it was just messed up and stuff was dumped on the floorboard. You know, they took the contents of the ashtray, the change. They took hardly anything. They took a flask with some whiskey in it and that pipe. And so then that freaking pipe is now going to get just some pot smoked out of it and just get all gummed up and ruined, and they don't even care.
Yeah,
Like it's
exactly.
just going to waste now. Um,
Probably ended
and
up
they don't make
broken
them
and in the
anymore.
trash at some point.
I know. So then it's a waste, and my pipe that I really, really enjoyed is just gone. And then the second
Yeah,
one
that's a bummer.
was taken when my entire truck was taken, and that one is probably just in a pile in a garage in a pile of other stolen stuff or chucked in the trash because it's not worth taking to the pawn shop. I don't know. I
Right.
mean, maybe it kind of is at this point, but I mean, they're pretty easily $70 on eBay. So,
Did I ever show you that one I bought up in Wisconsin?
I
It,
don't know.
I think I told you about it, but I'm not sure you've seen it.
Hmm.
Let me grab it. I've never smoked out of it or anything. I don't know. I just thought it was fun, and it was like $20, so I bought it.
Oh yeah, that's a Falcon, right?
It's a Falcon, yeah.
Yeah.
It's got the screw-on bowl,
Hmm. Yeah,
but it's in good shape.
that's a similar design to the Kirsten. Like the same concept of cooling the smoke and reducing the condensate going up to your mouth.
Yeah, it says Falcon made in England.
Hmm. Kirsten made in Seattle. You can get you should watch on eBay because sometimes you can get bowls for those things pretty cheap because when
Oh
people
yeah,
don't have the pipe, sometimes they'll just sell off the bowls. Or
there's
if
tobacco in
you're
there.
watching, is there if you're watching, you can find where somebody's selling a lot of pipes,
Oh
and there'll
yeah.
be one of those in there, or just some of the bowls for it, and they don't necessarily, it doesn't get listed as what it
Hmm.
is, and so you can get them cheap.
How do you know?
But
How do you know if it's the right one?
because there isn't another one that's similar.
Okay, so all the Falcons that are this design are the same.
Hmm.
Cool. I need to clean it up. It's real. I don't know if you can see it in there or not, but it's pretty dirty inside of there.
Hmm. Yeah, it'll clean right up though.
Oh yeah.
These Kirstens get like that too,
Is it aluminum
because
or?
that's where, yeah, that's where that's where all the like resins and condensate just gather underneath the bowl.
Oh,
I believe. I don't think that bowl is tight down to the bottom.
right.
Like there's a little gap down there.
Yep.
So on a typical pipe, after you smoke it, a bowl or two in it, you start to get like a little gurgly sound
Hmm.
because you're getting the moisture out of the tobacco, and then that makes its way up the neck and into the bit, and you end up with it in your mouth. Which, I mean, depending on the tobacco, isn't necessarily like gross, but it's probably not amazing for you.
Right.
Also, it's just a little bit annoying sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, this pipe, I didn't get a good pack on it, and it's not. I'm struggling. But anyway, so I started to
What's old
say,
Dano
and
doing?
apparently I don't know. Um, but I this evening, after Anna left for work and was just about to pull up to the hospital, she called me and she said, "Hey, Esther just called me." That's her sister who was just here,
Yep.
and said, "Ruby has lice." That's the little bitty one
Uh-oh.
that was just here.
And
So,
did they stay at your house?
oh yeah.
Uh-oh.
So I picked through my kid's hair, trying to see if I could see anything, which I did not. Um, and then hey, here's Dan. And then I went straight to Walmart. You're gonna need to go headphones, Dan, or something.
It's got a lot of hearing it twice. Yeah, there's nothing worse than hearing yourself two times.
Nothing.
No, there are some things, but
Check, check.
Dan, can you hear us?
Kind of, but not. Is this on?
it sounds on.
Yeah.
So that's the microphone speaker.
It tastes and smells like old tobacco.
Yeah. Mine tastes and smells like new tobacco.
That's a lot better. I don't think I'll fire this one up in the house. And he's gone. So, back to your story again.
So anyway, I ran straight to Walmart, bought some of that lice shampoo just
Mm-hmm.
in case, and then ran upstairs and got anything that I thought that little kid might have been spending time on, threw it in the washing machine. So shampooed both the girls' hair tonight. And like I said, I didn't see any. I picked through their hair pretty good. Here he is again. Welcome back, Dan. Kind of looks like you might be saying something, but I'm not hearing it.
I can kind of hear you, but I
Oh, I heard something.
can't hear you through my headset. Are you guys
Yep.
on?
You?
Mm-hmm.
You still have you have sound coming through your laptop or something? Something's feeding back. It's going through your microphone.
Yep. Let me try something different.
How's that? I'm not hearing myself coming back now. Oh, yep, I am.
Check 1 2 2 2. I was listening to the live or whatever it was, the church YouTube self-evaluation
Oh yeah.
thing,
I figured I was the
and
only one that ever watched those back.
at the beginning of first service, we were having some technical issues with the sound system, and so it's a black screen at the very front of the video, but you hear Wes Harris. Mic check, one, check. Mic check, mic check, 1 2, mic check. It's pretty funny.
Dan, can you hear us? Looks like
A
you're
wee bit.
muted now. What's going on with that?
I don't know what's happening with my hearing.
I hear you.
It doesn't want to do anything except go through the laptop.
Did you, when you clicked into it, did you select using headphones?
Yeah, I think I'm going to leave completely and try to start over.
Okay. I'm gonna put my garage door up because it's warm in here.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I would have set up on my front porch, but I don't have my light here. I took it to work and left it.
Mm.
Oh.
Are you using it for music at work?
My light?
Yeah. What light you talking about?
No. The just a halogen, or
Oh,
I mean,
just
it's an LED
a work
work light. Yeah, that one that I usually have on the front porch. It's a Craftsman brand, red, 3 lights, and the 2 side ones are directionable.
Dude, have I showed you my my battery powered work light?
No, but you've talked about it a couple times recently.
Oh man, you need to check that thing out sometime. It's super cool.
Why? What's so cool about it?
Well, it's very, very bright for one, extremely bright. It has a integrated battery that you just can charge up like in the car or wherever with a USB charger, and then it has a clamp, so you can clamp it onto anything really. And then the light is on a swivel, so you can move it whatever direction you need. And I use it all the time.
Where did it come from?
John gave it to me.
Oh, okay.
I'm not sure where he got it, but it's super cool.
Nice.
Dan's
all right,
back.
Dan, you back? Looks like you muted again.
And he's gone. And he's back.
Oh my goodness. Oh, here we go. All right, Dan. What do you got?
I'm not hearing the echo.
Well, I say he's muted.
Oh. That'll do it.
You'll hear it as soon as I turn on my microphone.
What?
So
Nothing?
you are
Oh, yeah,
not
there's
being
the
able
echo.
to have your headphones connect with your laptop or something.
They're connected. It's just not using them whenever it is in the device. They're coming up. I can see them.
It seems like we had this happened before once.
Yeah. I'm going to jump off again. Try it again.
That's what we kept doing at church on Sunday. We kept trying to reboot the system and hope that it would work, but it just kept not working.
Dude, that's at what point are they going to like file an insurance claim and have that stuff
I don't know.
like redone?
I don't know. Something needs to happen.
I mean, it seems like it's
Did
pretty.
you-
It seems like it's pretty significant.
Did you hear all of the like cracking and pausing during the entire service on Sunday?
Yes, I did.
That was
Yeah, I mean,
also
I
frustrating.
think that lightning strike jacked our system pretty bad.
Well, I mean, there's supposed to be like surge protectors and stuff on all that stuff, but I don't know that
Yeah. Apparently, it
protects
didn't
it as well as.
protect it. Yeah. Hey, there's Dan again.
Nope.
Dan,
What are you drinking? Bye, Dan.
on my screen, every time Dan leaves and comes back, he's on the other side of the screen.
Oh, really? I hope that's how it is on the live stream too.
I hope the echo is not on the live stream.
I think the echo would be on the live stream probably, but it shouldn't be on the like produced when we post it through Riverside to Spotify or whatever.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It may be, I guess.
So here's my problem, guys.
Okay.
If I can't get it to stop sending the sound through my laptop, it's going to keep echoing every time that I turn on my microphone.
Right.
Perfect.
No, it's just going to do it every time we talk. So I think this is going to be the Dan. So all we got to do is we'll be quiet and you talk about something.
We'll just nod our heads while you're talking.
Yeah. We'll pretend like our microphones don't work. So what's going on, Dan? What did your day hold? You're gonna have to remember to unmute your microphone.
I actually have some interesting things to tell you, but I have to mute myself every time you're going to talk. So, and I can't hardly hear you because I can't turn your voice up very loud on my speaker.
Okay, well, just give us what you got. We'll listen.
It's a little bit more conversational. I think I'm going to try to jump off one more time.
Okay.
and not ruin your recording.
Have you restarted your computer?
I think I'm going to do that. Yeah.
Okay. Seems like maybe that's what had to happen last time.
Okay. Bye.
Bye again. Ellett has a field trip to the Kansas City Zoo tomorrow.
Oh yeah.
And
I
so
guess I
at
kind of
dinner
knew
this,
that
or you did kind of know that. So,
because Gemma has a field trip tomorrow.
oh yeah. So at the dinner table this evening, we were talking about it, and then I told the story of your kid taking a trip to the zoo with school. And everyone thought that was fun.
Man, he is gonna get there in like 20 minutes
Yeah,
from school to zoo. That's pretty crazy.
it's fast.
Because you could drive a whole nother 2 hours and also go to a zoo.
Yep.
I'm gonna give this pipe another pack and try it again.
You'd be like Dan and his computer, do a reset on that thing.
Yeah, I'm gonna reboot this thing. I'm gonna turn it off and turn it back on again.
What
You
what
going
kind of
on the
tobacco?
field trip with him tomorrow?
I am not.
Is that an option?
I think it would have been if I would have signed up for it.
Yeah.
But being that I didn't sign up for it, I don't think it's an option for me
No, it's not.
at this point. Anna, she went on the zoo field trip with Kinsley one time.
Yeah.
But I don't normally do the activities.
I'm a pretty big fan of the zoo.
Yeah, I
Haven't
need to get
been in
out there.
some time. Yeah.
Plenty of
Weird.
people, including you, have told me that it's much better now than it was 30 years ago.
Oh yeah.
And I haven't been there in the last 30 years. So,
Yeah, it's a whole new zoo.
and plenty of people, and I think you being one of them, said, well, I could probably get you in for little to nothing with my bring a friend pass or whatever. And I still haven't been. Getting text messages here. Oh, the hockey boys from up north are texting.
Him DJs from
Bruins
up
look
country.
bad. Yeah, Bruins look bad, but they got her done. Boom, got her. That was an exciting game.
Was it?
That the Bruins one was, yeah, it was. It was. They were fighting the whole game.
What was the score?
It was 2-1
So it's kind of like soccer.
final. It's a lot like soccer where you could go the whole game and not have a single point scored. Like this game I'm watching now is 1-0. How's that Melicorn?
It's good. That's the end of it right there. Oh, here comes Dan again. Hey,
What's up,
Dan.
Dan?
Welcome to the Not Your Average Guys show. Huh. You just figure something out?
How about that?
All right.
I heard something.
What about those? So, Dan, you plugged those into your microphone. Why can you not plug those headphones into your laptop?
I just did. I plugged that headset into my laptop.
Okay. Because you had that
But I'm
headset
still
plugged into your microphone before, right?
Yeah, because I said that I was using that microphone. But here's the
Oh,
thing. What I'm running now is I'm actually running the DJI
ah,
microphone.
okay.
But the problem is my headset still says it's hooked up. Still says it's going.
Your Bluetooth headset?
Yeah, but it's just
Hmm.
it's just not sending sound. So, yeah.
Well,
At least
whatever you
there's
got
no
going
echo
on right now is not feeding back. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just these dopey
Anyway,
gaming earphones. So
yeah,
what do
I
we
think
got
you
going
should
on?
get some black ones, maybe. Well, Jimmy's watching hockey.
Oh yeah, what's happening in the world of hockey?
Well, it's the Stanley Cup playoffs right now.
Okay, what's that?
Well, it's the end of the season. Best teams battle it out, just similar to like football would be, where the
Like the
winner
World
takes
Cup?
all, losers are done until they get down to the last two remaining teams, and it's
Is it a single elimination?
well, it's a best of 7 games. So 2 teams play until one team wins 4 games, and then they advance to the next round.
Okay. And is Kansas City in it?
Kansas City doesn't have a hockey team.
That's not true.
Kansas City doesn't have an NHL team.
What's Kansas City's team?
It's the Mavericks, but it is, I don't know what it is exactly, but it's not NHL. It's some kind of amateur farm league or
It's like
something. I don't know.
AA or whatever.
Yeah, it's more than amateur.
I feel so.
I think it's.
Guess we should know that.
I think it's owned by maybe professional teams, but it's like their team.
Sort of like the Royals are to like a professional team. They are to like the Royals and the New York Yankees, the Mavericks, and like some professional NHL team.
Yeah, it's
Sort of
like
thing.
the T-Bones back in the day. There were the T-Bones,
okay.
and like what is it now? The Mavericks, or not the Mavericks? The what's the baseball team out there at Legends?
Monarchs.
Like they're semi-pro, but they're not MLB.
Mm-hmm.
So it's similar to that with that Mavericks hockey.
So you think the Mavericks are that level, not even like the. So, like, are the Monarchs a farm team for anybody? Because, like,
I don't think
the
so.
Omaha
It's its own
Royals.
league.
The Omaha Royals are owned by the Royals.
Yeah, but do they play the Monarchs? Who
I
plays the
don't
It's
Omaha
a
know.
different
Royals?
league.
Other baseball teams, farm teams.
Oh, yeah. Seems like we should know that stuff better than we do.
Yeah, I don't. I definitely don't know it. But yeah, Kansas City hasn't had an NHL team in a long time since was it the Blades?
The Blades. Yeah.
The closest NHL team to Kansas City is St. Louis Blues.
Yep.
And they
And
don't.
it's
I
from
don't even
St.
think
Louis, so
I don't even think they made the playoffs this year.
and they're St. Louis, so I can't like them.
Exactly.
I'm not a St. Louis fan.
Nope.
I mean, it's hard not to like old Mark McGuire there in the 90s. But other than that, and Pujols kind of
And
had to like
Pujols.
Pujols a little bit because he came from here too.
Right.
But not so much anymore. Anyway, all right, Dan, you said you got some stuff. I know you got
Okay.
some stuff that I'm interested in.
Well, you tell me what that is, and then I'll jot down a couple of the things that I've got
Well,
on my mind.
I want to hear the story of your eldest child and her
From the very
travels.
beginning?
From the very beginning.
What year was she born?
I don't remember. 18 years ago. She's 18 now. Was that 2006? Is that right?
Sounds right.
Well, it was a dark night. Or it might have been midday. I don't know. I really don't. Her mother and I
was
were
more
on a
thinking
hike.
in the last
Oh,
2 days. On a hike, huh?
got it.
Interesting. I hadn't known that.
Well,
Didn't
yeah,
know that till you just
you don't
told me
even
that,
know
man.
where we go hiking all the time. You don't even know where the story was going.
Well,
What are you talking about?
there was innuendo.
Yeah, weren't we starting
No.
at the beginning?
We were starting even before the beginning.
Oh, okay.
We were leading up to the beginning.
We were leading up. Yeah, that was the preface.
with a hike.
What I was
prequel.
going to say is we were dragging a 2-year-old along, and we were thinking, how far apart do we want our children? And we decided that day that we were going to go ahead and have another kid. And about, I don't know, a week later, we found out that we were like at least a month pregnant. So I don't even know the beginning. I don't have a record of it. What do you want to know about it? So my daughter, Marcella, she graduated from high school at Belton High School with about, 500 other kids. I don't remember
it
the
that
exact
many?
number. It's 400 or 500. There's quite a few.
Somebody, and they said that Marcella was saying she thought it was around 350 that were walking on Friday night.
Oh, was it? I thought it was more than that.
Well, there were a whole bunch of empty chairs too, so
yeah, but there were only about 30 empty chairs, I think. So that would still put it under 400 for sure. We did it
I did
at
not know, and I asked, and that was the only thing I got. Is someone said they thought that Marcella thought that it was about 350. So I have no idea. That's like fifth-hand information.
Well, I don't have any first-hand information about it. I'm not good with these details. But she sang the national anthem.
Yes, she did.
She graduated. I thought she did a good job. What do you think, Darcy?
She did a great job.
I thought she did real nice.
I've heard paid singers
And
do worse.
I have definitely heard that. And honestly, the national anthem is not the easiest song to just sing a cappella. And honestly, I was recording it with my phone and with a camera, both, and it sounded good on both of them, surprisingly. The other thing I would say about it is I actually thought she started too high. So I was kind of a little nervous because I wasn't nervous that she would like crack or something, because she's a pretty good vocalist, and if she gets to a point where she thinks she isn't gonna do something, she can make something else up.
Yeah.
But I knew that she would want to hit the high note, and she did a good job.
She did.
She got everything out, and she didn't seem nervous. I'm sure I was more nervous than she was. And it was at who are we just talking about? It was at the arena where the
Mavericks
Kansas
play.
City's non-NHL, the Mavericks play. And apparently they still had the ice under the chairs. So it was pretty chilly down on the field. So she graduated summa cum laude, if that's how that's said. And I think there were 6 others who graduated summa, and about 20 between all of the, with honors, with highest honors, with great honor, whatever the 3 things are.
There's
And
cum laude, magna cum laude,
cum laude, magna,
and summa.
and
cum
summa.
laude.
Yeah. And I am told that about 2/3 of the way through the semester, they actually changed the rules so that more of the kids would get into those brackets
Oh, really?
than were being anticipated. And at least half of the people that were summa were magna at the beginning, like would have been magna by the original rules. So the people who got with highest honor were a little put out by the fact that they had, they did all of this stuff to try to get this ranking, because you don't accidentally get into that category. Like, you're
Are you talking about
going
me?
out of
I
your
don't.
way. Well, I didn't. Did you?
No, I don't.
I mean, you might have
get into
been
that
the
kind of thing.
No, you have to have actually set out to get that ranking or whatever you call it.
Do you remember?
And so they were a little perturbed.
Do you remember? Have you heard me talk about this before? And how it went when I would get my grade card. So Anna and I were.
You're talking college.
Yeah, we weren't married. We weren't in class together when we were married. So this would have been right before we got married. But we'd go to the mailboxes together to get our grade cards. And this is how it would go. I would go in there and I'd grab my mail, pull it out of the box, and here's my midterms. Look down at it. And I got, a couple of A's, a couple of B's, a couple more C's. And she would say, "Oh, great job. You're doing so good. You remember that is a hard class. I mean, you did good." And then she goes and pulls her card out and she looks at it and she's like, "What? A minus?" And I'm like, wait a minute. You said C was okay.
For you.
Yeah. Oh, that's good.
Yeah, C's good for you, Darcy.
Mhm.
Well, hopefully she carried those expectations right into your marriage.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Nothing has changed.
Nothing has changed. Well, would you want it to? I mean,
but I expect A+.
I wouldn't. Yeah, you should expect A pluses from her. That's what I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
That's funny. Yeah, so then we had a party and everybody came to the party.
Oh, yeah.
And a lot of young gentlemen came to the party that I had never seen or heard of before. And that was kind of interesting. And yeah, so it gave me an excuse to get my shop cleaned up. And I spent about 40 hours cleaning my shop last week.
Yeah, you were
or the week
shop
before.
last Tuesday night.
Mm-hmm. I don't remember how much I had done then, but
You had
I was
just
getting
power
there.
washed.
Oh, yeah. So I was getting there at that
yeah.
point. Got lots of compliments by other people who have shops on how clean the shop was. They were like, whoa, how'd you get the, like, we have cobwebs all over ours. How'd you get the cobwebs out of this? I was like, I don't know. This is just how it is all the time, man. This is just my shop, you know?
I don't know. I'm just better than
I
you.
never even
What
clean it up. It
Guess
just stays.
You probably
I
get
didn't clean it. I
C's
just
on your report card.
You probably get season. Your shop probably looks pretty good for a C student. Mine not so good. Yeah, so it was a fun week. And then Marcella went out today and cleaned the rock house with me.
Okay.
And she asked me a question I'll ask you guys.
Okay.
She said, so what do adults do for fun?
Oh man.
On a random Tuesday night.
Is
On a
she
random
asking
Tuesday.
this because she thinks she's an adult now?
No, because all of her friends drink and smoke weed for fun. And she's trying to think of something to do with people who don't do that. So,
well, she can be a guest on our podcast.
I could tell her. Yeah, you could be a guest on our podcast next week. She'd probably
this
do
is
it.
fun, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I think it is. By the way, are we advertising for Redhead?
It does look that way.
On like are they our sponsor? Is it Redhead or Kansas City Royals or toilet paper?
Both.
Everything.
Costco.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Hey Costco, we're here. Go ahead and give us some toilet paper for advertising for you. Okay. So I don't know. Did you want to hear anything else about that? It was
yeah, I actually said your eldest. Have you just written that one off?
Dude.
Switched down. Marcella's the eldest now.
So wait, you said my eldest.
Mm-hmm.
My eldest is, I don't think she's still there yet. So
she's in
London. She flew out of well, they did fly out of London at this point, but they're not to South Africa yet.
Okay.
So they went to Kansas City the other morning.
Night.
Sunday afternoon. And their flight through American Airlines, curse be upon them.
Not sponsored by American Airlines.
Not sponsored by American Airlines. I hear it's the worst, and I believe it.
That's what
So they were delayed.
I flew American going to Ireland and back, and it was nothing but fantastic.
Huh.
Yeah. Well, maybe they like the Irish.
I heard.
So what happened was
United was the worst.
They might be the worst also.
United, they're in the news right now a little bit because of their new hiring policy. I think that's why they're the worst.
Yes.
What's their hiring policy?
They just announced that their goal is to be like 30% minority pilots, I think. And so everyone who isn't that type of a thinker is saying, I don't care what color or accent or shape my pilot is. I would rather you hired the absolute best pilots.
Yeah, if I'm going to be in the plane, if it's politicians in the plane, then DEI to the very end.
Politicians fly private.
That's what I'm saying. So that's why it's not going to work. Like there's things that work in theory, but they don't work in practice.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, so she made it to London. They actually physically made it to the terminal before the plane had departed the gate. Like it had not left yet, but they had closed the doors. And so there was like 25 people that were going to get on this plane that they were like, nope, it's too late. It's already done deal. Can't open it. And it was their own, they were both American Airlines flights.
Yeah.
It wasn't even like, well, you should have flown American and we would have made this work out for you. It was more like, sorry. And so then they put them up in London. They stayed there for 24 hours and then they got on a plane, basically the same flight 24 hours later. I told her I think that this is the kind of thing that AI is going to like solve, because AI is going to be like, how much is it going to cost for American Airlines to put up 25 people in a hotel overnight tonight and also fly a flight that's 25 people short of full, and going to run that calculation and be like, sorry, dude, you're going to be 5 minutes late. I mean, the other flight was 2 hours late or 4 hours late or whatever it was. So anyway, so they're now flying across the continent of Africa, I believe, if my math is right. And they're not there yet. But they're going to go to South Africa. Do what?
Oh, yeah, I was asking what the final destination was.
South Africa, Johannesburg, and they're going to do street ministry, and they're going to pass out flyers about not throwing your babies away in the garbage and taking them to drop-off points, and go like help people in their houses and just serve people. And then I think they're actually going to go on a safari if they have time, which I don't know if they'll have time now. They're not going to shoot anything. They're going to be more like a viewing safari than a shooting animals safari.
Not that this will make any difference to Shea, because she's on the smaller side and maybe, I don't know, can or does she give blood ever?
I don't know if she does or not. Marcella does.
Oh, she's even littler than Shea. There are wildlife refuges in the Johannesburg area that are on the list of can't donate for a decent period of time after you've been to one.
What are the diseases that you might contract there that they...
I don't know. It doesn't say that stuff. It just says, have you been to this place?
If you've been to these.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I don't know that I remember her doing it recently, if she did. I remember Marcella doing it and almost passing out because she got up to leave pretty quick or something recently. So yeah.
Yeah. Cool. So
hey, I got a
on
booking.
our way, but not
I got another booking.
there yet.
Correct.
How long will she be there?
I think she's going to be there about 6 or 7 days at this point.
Fun.
Any new info on their luggage?
Oh, yeah, they forced them to check carry-on, and they don't know where their luggage is. Like the airline is like, we don't know where your luggage is. Like that's basically what they told them.
They had to check their carry-on luggage?
Yeah, they made them check their carry-on luggage. Who knows why? Like they specifically carried just the right amounts. Like they were very diligent to make sure that they would qualify.
Yeah.
And then they were like, nope, check it. And by the way, we don't know if you're going to be able to get your flight. So their stuff definitely left London already on the previous or
So
left.
their stuff should be in Johannesburg waiting for them.
Should be, yeah. So it wasn't okay. So the I think we left this out. So they flew from Kansas City to Dallas, and it was at Dallas that they, like literally, it was at Dallas that they didn't get on the flight to London. It wasn't
Right.
at Kansas City. Did
But
I
that's
already say that?
Well, I already knew that,
No.
but that's because the flight out of Kansas City was like 4 hours delayed, right?
But that's the crazy thing. The one out of Dallas was also 4 hours delayed, but it didn't. The 10 minutes of, flux time in there screwed them. Like, So it wasn't like the one was off by 4 hours and the other was on time at all. It was just.
That's crazy. When I flew back from Ireland, we flew from Dublin to Charlotte, and the flight leaving Dublin was an hour and a half delayed. The layover in Charlotte was like an hour and 45 minutes. So when we hit the ground in Charlotte, our next flight left in like 15 minutes from when we landed.
Mm-hmm.
We bounced off that plane and ran down the hall to the other terminal and got on the plane within like 4 minutes before the plane took off.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it was technically possible. They just didn't, like, they shut the doors and it's literally just like a Key and Peele skit. They're just like, sorry.
Yeah, that's a bummer.
Okay, so I got two things.
Okay.
So do you guys know the old adage, no good deed will be left unpunished?
No good
Heard
deed
it.
goes unpunished.
No good deed goes unpunished.
Yeah.
You've heard that?
Mhm.
What does that mean to you? And then I'll tell you the story and you tell me if you think it applies.
Pardon me?
What do you think that means?
No good deed goes unpunished.
Mhm.
I think it's a cynical saying where you would use that when you pull over and pick up a hitchhiker and
He
then
murders you?
Well, it wouldn't even have to be that. Let's say you pull over and pick up a hitchhiker and then you are continuing down the highway and you get pulled over and you get cited for controlled substance or something like that. Like guy has cocaine or whatever. And then you get dinged because whatever. I think that's an instance where you would maybe do that, where it set out to do something good and it bites you in the butt on the end.
I did that.
So
one time.
Picked up a guy and then got nailed?
No. Helped a person get pulled out of a ditch, and then they filed an insurance claim on me and called the insurance and said that I damaged their car, but they had run off the road and into a ditch, and then I had an insurance claim on my vehicle because I pulled them out of the ditch.
Well, my story isn't that bad.
Really good.
But
yeah.
Example.
That's a great example though. So I was at a project up off of Meyer Boulevard, I was finishing up the last day on that job. Jimmy actually visited me there. I was clear coating the wood floor that I ended up doing myself because your guy was squirrely as all get out, bro. When when you have contractors that refer to themselves in the third person, I don't
Are you
know.
talking about Noi?
I don't know what to think of that. Noi. Yeah. Noi is getting old, says Noi. Anyway, so I'm out there and I'm in the middle of doing the clear coat and I get a phone call and I've got a thing like my Stripe account is is taking a long time to refund someone and they're like
Oh yeah.
irritated and I'm like I'm telling you on the 6th it processed. I don't have the money. Stripe is getting it to you. It's just taking a minute. So I'm in the middle of that. I walk out and I'm clearing out one of my brushes and this beater of Nissan. Why are Nissans, by the way, why are Nissan Altimas and stuff always beaters? Like why don't anybody just have an old Nissan that's nice? Why do they, you know what I'm saying? Like why do they have to be absolute
700,000 miles on them?
absolute crap holes? And anyway, so they pull up off of Meyer onto the side street with this massively flat bald tire. They're like, "Hey, sir, do you have a jack?" I'm like, I don't know. I'll look in the garage. I look around. I find some crummy, one of those crummy jacks that just comes in a car, and you should just throw them away, but you leave them in the car just in case. So I take it out to them. They don't have any tools. I don't have any tools. I end up getting my jack tools out of my truck. I take that to them. I put it over there and I'm like, "Hey, I'd love to help you right now, but I've got to finish this deal." So I go back and they are struggling. This guy, he probably looks like he's 40 years old ish. The girl probably looks about Marcella's age and she has 2 kids in the car. She's calling them babies, but they're like 2 to 6-year-old range, somewhere in there. Dude has never changed a tire. Like you can tell, he's never done it. He doesn't know how to use the little hook tool that you crank the jack up with. He doesn't know how to do it. I tried to show him. It's like this, and he's still just like sticking it in, turning it, and then like taking it out, turning it like that, right? You know what I'm saying? Like the little hook, you stick it in there, you use the wrench, and you spin it.
Like
and
a bracing bit.
It's supposed to work.
But he's probably never used one of those either.
He also is just putting it on random spots on the body of this Altima that's plastic. And it's just, as it goes up, it'll just start crinkling the plastic up. And I'll be like, yeah, that doesn't look like a good spot to put the jack, man. So anyway, I'm like, but I really do have to go back to work. So she's calling people on the phone and they're standing there looking at it. And then Jamie pulls up and he needs a check. And I'm like, hey, do you have a decent jack? And because the jack that I loaned them was absolute garbage. So long story short, he gives them a jack. I get the brushes all cleaned out. I get my table saw, my chop saw, all of my tools, everything out of the garage, loaded in. Like I fill up an 8-foot truck bed with tools, my ladders, my sawhorses, everything. Dude still doesn't have his tire off. I sweep out the garage. I close the garage. I go over. I'm like, hey, what's happening at this point? Because Jamie just left his jack with the guy and said, give it back to Dan. And so dude is sitting there on the street just barely if this was his life, he's dead. Like if there was a real problem. Anyway, so I help him get the tire up another 10 cranks and We pull the tire off, which, by the way, I already loosened the lug nuts before the tire was up off the ground because I knew he wasn't going to. And we pull the tire off and we get the spare. And guess what? It's a
flat.
5 lug pattern, but it is not the same pattern.
Oh.
His spare doesn't have the same lug pattern. So they start calling people. And there's a dude on the phone that's like, just take the tire. They'll get it fixed. They'll get it fixed for you. They'll put a patch in it. We're looking at this tire. It's through all of the metal. It's totally bald. You could probably shove your pinky through the hole that is worn in this tire. It's shot. So I'm like, do you guys know, is there a tire place around here? Yeah, there's one down on 63rd Street. Why don't you call them and ask them if they have this tire? It's a used tire place, right? And she starts freaking out at me. I don't have no money. I don't get paid till Thursday. And I'm like, but it's going to be a used tire. Like, it's probably going to be like $50. I don't have no money. I don't have time for this. Bleep, bleep. And I'm just like, guys, I'm going to go to lunch. And if you get done with his jack, toss it over in the yard over there. And I drive away. I get back with my Chipotle, and they're still standing there staring at that tire. I'm just thinking, I'm stuck here because I asked Jamie to loan them his jack. I ended up spending 2 hours with these folks and put their tire on for them once some guy brought them a tire. Also, the lug nuts that were on this tire were not the right lug nuts for a tapered magnesium wheel. So this thing was like cobbled together before this whole event ever happened. Okay.
Because he ain't got no money.
He wasn't even offering to help her with the money. I'm like, I'll take you down there, guys. I'll take somebody with the wheel. We'll just drive down there and we'll get them to. She's like, I ain't got no money. And he's just standing there like just like a bump on a log. So anyway, we get the tire, and the guy that brought them the tire said thank you to me. And that was it. The people did not even say thank you. They're just like, is that a good example of no good deed goes unpunished?
They were pissed at you because you didn't buy them a used tire.
I honestly think that that's what they were like waiting for, was for me to be like, I'll buy you the tire. Can I get my jack back? But I called Jamie about 5 minutes before the guy showed up with the tire. I called Jamie. I was like, Jamie, I'm going to leave. And he's like, yeah, whatever. If I don't get that jack, it's one of those junky jacks anyway. If I don't get it back, I don't get it back. And I'm like, but I really want to leave, but they also have my tools. So I don't want to leave them with my tools.
No.
So
yeah, dude, that's a pretty good example.
Helpless people kind of, I don't know if they irritate me. I don't know if that's the right word. I helped them. And I know it didn't actually do them any good. You know what I mean? Like in the whole picture of their life, my 2 hours was kind of wasted because tomorrow it's going to be something else. You know what I'm saying? Like their lives are probably just like this. It may
be the same thing.
It might be the same thing tomorrow. They might just run that next tire completely bald.
And still not have a jack and still not have a spare that fits.
Yeah. And still have people that tell them on the phone, oh no, that tire's fine. Go get it patched. Like that's how good their friends are. So
That is a sketch part of town too. That's that kind of stuff probably happens every day over there.
Yeah, probably. It's pretty sketchy there. They were pretty sketchy. And this Nissan was like as sketchy as you can imagine. Like it was like, oh, and it didn't have plates. Also, the car didn't have plates.
Perfect. It's like Darcy.
I have plates.
Oh, that's true.
The stickers are just from the wrong year.
On which vehicle?
My truck.
Okay.
His truck.
It's almost out of principle now.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's my next one. And I'll try to. I'm gonna actually. It's funny. This is funny to me because let's see if I can do this. Nope, that's not clear.
Looks like
Whatever.
a white screen.
Okay, it did look like a white screen. Okay, so I read a book. I listened to an audiobook while I was mowing today. It's a short story by E.M. Forster. E.M. Forster. Called The Machine Stops. Have you ever heard of it?
No.
Okay, you should get it and you should listen to it on Audible this week. It's free.
Okay.
It was written in 1909. Okay. So I'll read you what?
Okay.
I'll read you the synopsis that ChatGPT gives me of the book. Simply because I thought it would be humorous to have ChatGPT write the synopsis of this book. The Machine Stops is a science fiction short story by E.M. Forster, first published in 1903. It describes a future in which humanity lives underground in a dystopian society where all needs are met by a vast, omnipotent machine. The inhabitants of this world have become completely reliant on the machine for sustenance, communication, and everything in between. Human contacts are mostly through instant messaging and video conferencing, avoiding face-to-face interactions. The story centers on Vashti, a lecturer who lives in her isolation cell-like room, and her son, Kuno, who yearns to visit the surface of the earth, which is forbidden. Kuno expresses his concern that reliance on the machine has degraded human capacities and warns of its eventual collapse. When the machine eventually begins to malfunction, the society faces chaos and collapse, leading to a profound exploration of the technical dependence and dehumanization. That's not actually a great synopsis of the story, although it's probably as I asked it for a short synopsis, but the story is very interesting in that the description of the world that they live in is very much like these futuristic, like cell-like rooms, but like if you were to drop a book from table height onto the floor, the machine actually has the ability to lift the book back up to you. Like you don't even have to put out that much effort. And so what the people have decided to do is to euthanize any children who exhibit strength, like physicality, because they've discovered that people who have physicality are unable to be calm enough to stay in their cells. So everyone is basically like softies, completely soft. They have no muscle tone. They can't climb a ladder. when the son finally decides he wants to go see the surface in the book, just climbing a ladder makes his hands bleed because he's never actually used his hands for any heavy type of work. And the description of the world, keep in mind that we are actually on basically devices right now that were being described by this person who wrote this book in 1903. Like, it's kind of eerie to read in the current way of things, and probably would have been more eerie to read during COVID, I would say, because the system basically said there should be no human to human contact, and people treated the system like it was a religion. Like, what was his name? Whatever Fauci said was like a religious edict from on high, and it was not to be questioned at all. So basically though, the story starts off and the mother gets a call from her son who's like, I want you to come across the world and visit me. And she's like, I don't need to come visit you. The other part of the other side of the planet is just like this side of the planet. Your cell, your room is just like my room. Why can't we just talk on the phone? And he's like, well, I got to tell you something that I can't tell you on the machine. And she treats it almost like blasphemy that he would want to say something outside of the hearing of the machine. Well, she finally does, against her better judgment, go visit him. And he tells her, I'm being banished to homelessness for going to the surface. And she's like, well, you can go to the surface. It's allowed. And he's like, I didn't go through the normal channels. I didn't go procure a breathing apparatus and register that I was going to, go on an exploratory safari. I found a way to get out. And she's like, there is no way out. It says so in the book. And he's like, well, I found a way out. And she's like, what do you mean you found a way out? And he's like, I figured it out. I figured out how to get out. And they're like arguing about whether someone could like think of something that's not covered in the manual provided by the machine. And anyway, it's a very interesting book. And I walked away from it thinking, I don't want my kids on machines anymore. I don't want to be on machines anymore.
But
because
you are still kind of a proponent of AI.
Proponent of AI. I think that it kind of is like, it's kind of like my libertarian bent. In an idealistic world, I'm a libertarian, but in a practical sense, I'm a conservative.
Yeah.
Right. And I think that in an idealistic world, I think I was maybe like, there's these people, I don't know if you guys have known about this, but there's these people that think that they were born in the wrong body, like that their body is like the wrong gender. Have you heard of this?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I think Harrison Bucker was just talking about those people.
Well, the thing is, like, I think I was born in the wrong century. I was born for, like a little more woodsy of a century when people weren't, what we are now. Where was I going with that? So I don't think that I think that this book probably describes where I'm at on it. And that is, I think after reading the book, it's likely that the machine will do for humanity something similar to what the book describes. And then it will stop. And we will never build that machine again. Because here's the thing that is the subject matter that I'm thinking about because of reading the book. And you guys should read it, and next week you can come back and be like, that's not what I got out of this book at all.
Okay.
What is human flourishing? Exactly. Is it flourishing to have all of a human's needs met? Not in like a bad way, but like, is that flourishing? Are the people that are in these cells in the machine flourishing? Or are the people who were banished to the world? Oh, and they don't think they can even breathe the oxygen at the surface. Kind of like people don't think that they can like go like leave home without their phone, being tracked by their friends and family or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But really, what is human flourishing, and who decides? So like, I don't know if you've ever watched, and I know there's a long ways around to get to this, but I don't know, you guys have ever watched like movies about when they developed the South, when they put in dams and when they put in electricity, and they show these pictures of these like poor backwoods people living in these houses, their barefoot kids running around in the Appalachian Mountains. You know what I'm talking about? And then they're like, and then we brought electricity and like into these areas, and they like had this huge change, and people had electricity in their houses, and they had running water in their houses, et cetera, et cetera. But yeah, life was harder without electricity and running water. But are people who don't have electricity and running water not able to flourish?
So,
and if so, did no one flourish before the 20th century? Do you see what I'm saying? You see what I'm getting at?
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
easier isn't equal to better.
Right.
It can be. I was just thinking a similar thought, I think, to what you just now said the other day, but not necessarily for the same. I mean, I don't know. Maybe it boils down to the same reason, but just the fact that, like this generation or this era of people, I think that so many people think that as humanity continues, that it must get better. And so if that's the case, if fruitful humanity is getting better, then we are the best that has ever been. And I just can't get on board with that. I don't think that this era of people is automatically just the best, like is by default better than before.
Right.
But I
concur
think
with that.
that is a widespread feeling. That we are
I mean, we are softer.
We are doing it better than the people that we do it different from.
Well, like, and I don't think that there's like a, I don't necessarily think that there's a right or wrong answer, but I do think that the more, like, if you went into, like, if you look at Stoic philosophy, it would probably kind of concur along these lines. The more we tend to equivocate things not being hard with things being better. And better for like easier, more decadent, yeah, but like not necessarily better for your soul, definitely not better for your body to not have to do anything hard. Like that's pretty well been proven.
I don't know. My knee has been pretty
And-
sore lately.
Yeah, but I mean, like, okay, do you think your knee would be sore? Like, okay, let's use a world where Darcy's a mountain man, and you basically all you have time to do is spend your time storing up food, you know, making provisions for winter. You're probably a significantly fitter person in that scenario, and your knee might not hurt. You don't know. I mean, I don't know. You can't say for sure, but like you're definitely, every time you decide whether to or whether not to eat something, it's going to be based on a very long, like a long time horizon. Will I need this later? Where we don't, I mean, I can go upstairs and eat. Well, I mean, I don't even have to go upstairs. I can eat 50 pounds of beef if I want to, like right now.
Yeah, I was
in my
thinking
basement.
about going right there and get myself a popsicle.
Aren't
Yeah,
people
like-
living longer now than they've lived in a long time, though?
Yes and no. It depends on it depends on which way you want to calculate it. Like if you go back to the framers, the founders of the nation era, there was a bunch of those dudes that lived into their, I'm pretty sure, like 70s, 80s, 90s. Like a significant number of those guys lived to those kind of ages. But the average life expectancy was lower because far more people died of early. It wasn't really like you only lived to be 45. It was more like if you lived to be 35, you were likely to make it to be old. But a lot of people died relatively young. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know if that's like average versus median, or, you know, how you do that. I don't think that there were, when the life expectancy was 55, I don't think that there was like nobody living to 90 or 100.
Right.
There was just a lot of people dying in their 20s or in childhood.
Right.
And a few people living to be aged.
And now we have buildings full of the old folk.
Well, and that's one of the things in this book, in the Machine Stops, is like they're keeping all of these people alive, and you actually, when you're done, you actually have to apply for a pass to be euthanized. Like that's how well they keep people alive. And the main character had applied several times, and they were like, well, we don't have enough births, so you're going to have to wait. Like, we have to keep the number of people alive at this level, so you're going to have to wait until some births come in. And I mean, it's pretty, like,
It's interesting.
it's a very interesting story, I think.
Yeah, I need to check it out. Sounds like somebody needs to make a movie of it.
They did. It's called WALL-E.
I've seen it.
I mean, it's very loosely based on Wall-E, and in Wall-E, the main two characters don't die right at the end in the dark, talking philosophically about whether humans will, do this ever again, whether this was even a good idea at all. But yeah, I don't know. So back to whether I'm a proponent of AI.
Oh yeah. Oh, that was a long roundabout.
That was a long roundabout to get to. I think that people don't actually understand AI enough that you can have a very reasonable conversation about it. Like, for instance, I was talking to our father-in-law the other day about AI, and I was basically, he was like, absolutely no, like, terrible idea. But I said, okay, but the reality is that, this is my opinion. The reality is that AI at this point is like, he was talking about it for like sermon prep and kind of joking about how terrible of an idea it is to use AI for sermon preparation. And I said, well, whenever I went to college, only a couple of years before that, Logos Bible software came out. And between the time that I was in junior high to when I went to college, it went from nobody had Bible software to you wouldn't want your pastor to not have Logos, which is a compilation of all of these different writers and authors on biblical commentaries, plus a search engine that can find anything just instantaneously in the Bible.
Bible,
And he's like, yeah, but that's
just fine.
That's different.
AI.
And I'm like, it's not really different. It's just that it was an early form. Like, AI is in reality, it is a compilation of all the knowledge that we have on all of these subjects in an extremely searchable format. It is AI. Logos Bible software is an earlier form of AI. Changed my mind.
No, you're right. It's fine though if it's about the Bible.
What do you think? I think Google and AI are, it's just another iteration of AI. Just the fact that you can search whatever you want to search and you don't have to go to like the earlier form of AI would have been the Strong's Concordance, or it would have been the Dewey Decimal System, or it would have been, what were those books? The Encyclopedia Britannica. Like, that was, when those things came out, they were artificial intelligence. It was access to information that you had no personal knowledge of. And AI is just making access to information. It's not making up any new information. That's what people are misunderstanding. It's not making up new information. It's got all the information that's out there, and it knows what you're asking it for most of the time.
I think that the biggest hang up that people have with it, and I think it's valid, is, and I also think that I mean, just the name, artificial intelligence, yes, it's like what you just said, the encyclopedia. I could, when I was 12 years old, look up whatever, manatees in the encyclopedia And
Mhm.
that evening seemed like I had knowledge of manatees because,
Artificial knowledge.
yes, not firsthand, nothing that I
Right.
had experienced or researched. I read, I found someone else's work and consumed that. I
And you
think that,
hoped that they did research themselves, and you assumed that if they had the qualification to write in that book, that like gave them a certain amount of clout. You assumed
so
they were telling you the truth.
correct. So then that essentially progresses and naturally and without really any uh oh without much. Well, the search engine is still that. Like it's very little change. It's just it's the internet is a ginormous encyclopedia. So the search engine
Yeah.
is still that same style of artificial intelligence. So, but now what we are calling artificial intelligence is Chat GPT, which goes another step. So like up until that, you couldn't necessarily come up with a finished product through your search. So
Right.
Chat GPT type things is a bit more than a search engine and a catalog. It's more than a catalog, I think is what I'm saying. It has it has capabilities to produce something that doesn't exist in that form currently. Whereas prior to this, you can only find what some what already exists in the form that it exists in. So AI, I think, has a bad rap because of movies.
Right.
And
But
then
here's what did
also
exist before.
AI has a bad rap because of abuse, where a college student has a program write a paper for them, which is not allowed.
Okay. But here's the thing.
Yeah.
What is college for?
What?
What is the purpose of college?
Getting C's.
But what's the purpose of college? You have to what the existence of AI is doing is it is causing the entire society to question what are the purposes of the things that we're doing and how we are teaching. So for instance, in a world where an AI can summarize everything that you need to know about subject X because it has access to all of that information. What really is the point of that student producing that paper? That second-rate work of non-art, second-hand researched document. What is the value in that? There is no value in that because there's no practical use for what they did there. There's no practical use for that student's paper anymore.
Right.
So it doesn't really ultimately make any difference whether that student cheated, quote unquote, or not, because what they were doing was useless.
Well, so I think that'll change. I think that in the next 10 years, it won't be cheating.
Right. And the reason it won't be cheating is because we're going to have to figure out other uses for the human intellect besides producing documents for Miss Parvin, because she likes lots of documents to be produced for her classes. You know what I'm saying? People who think outside the box are still going to be able to think outside the box. I mean, everybody that I know that has gone into computer science, for instance, will tell you, when you go to work for a new company in whatever part of computer sciences, they do not care that you have all of this information in your head. What they care is, can you get the information that you need when you need it? And so all of their tests are, okay, what would you do about this problem? And if the person goes, well, I would start by Googling that problem
and see what other people have.
See what other people on Reddit have done about that problem, and see what other kind of constraints that they have run into. And that is more useful, because a person who can think on their feet and is willing to go get the best information is a useful person. And a person who's like, well, what I would do is I would write a 50-page essay on how that problem will affect the company if it's not fixed. It's like, no, don't do that. Figure out how to fix the problem. So like, what there used to be is, you used to go to a library and you used to go up to the librarian and be like, hey, I'm looking at researching this subject. What are the best books to read on this subject? And the librarian would be like, okay, well, and maybe that librarian is really well read, and they can do what ChatGPT can do for you now, which is point you in for sure the right direction on, whatever it is you're trying to accomplish. And the other thing is, like, we were talking about the fact that there's all of these guys who are well-known Christian authors, etc., who write lots of books, Al Mohler being one particular one. And well-respected, they write lots of books. Dude has like 10 research assistants that he says, I have this idea. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's like, I have this idea, and this is what I want you to go research and compile all of the information. And I'm like, ChatGPT is like Al Mohler's entire research staff in the palm of your hand, basically for free. Bottom line. On the other side of it, the Air Force or the Navy just did the first live test of an F-15EX, which is a completely unmanned F-15 fighter jet. That is, the test has it being driven by AI making its own decisions about dropping payloads. That seems like a terrible idea.
Yeah.
That seems like Terminator, Skynet, the whole deal. And the interesting thing about it is, how long have we been talking about AI? Like, seriously, a year and a half, probably. Like publicly available AI. Like, and people couldn't actually see it and be like, oh, wow, that actually, I get what you're trying to accomplish here. If the military is live testing an F-15 that is driven by AI, how far behind the curve on what is happening in AI are we as the public?
Yeah, like 15 years.
Because it's not like they took an F-15 and they were like, hey, let's put a smartphone in this F-15 and have ChatGPT run it. They've been building a $1 billion fighter jet from the ground up, knowing that
Well, that's
this
probably
was
just
an
only been-
inevitability for long enough that they have it in flight now. They ran live tests on it a couple weeks ago.
That's probably only been going on for like 5 years now. Because that probably happened
5 years?
when Trump started Space Force.
Maybe that's what Space Force was about.
That's what did it.
Somebody should ask him
That's probably it.
if he developed AI.
I mean, that's what's kind of scary about it, is that they've had it in development to put, and we're not talking about drones being flown by pilots that aren't in them. We're talking
Right.
about a fighter jet that has been for a long time way more potent than the jet itself could run higher speeds, higher G-forces than humans could be in it. And we're not talking about a guy remote controlling it from the ground. We're talking about a fighter jet that is flying itself and deciding what targets to strike on its own.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That part of it. So, okay, so back to what is flourishing, because I'm still thinking about that. The whole thing goes down, all of it. Skynet goes away. The system, the machine runs its course, and it's done. What do you think human flourishing actually looks like at that point? Because we would have to define it completely differently. I mean, those of us who are still alive.
It looked just like the Amish cultures.
No, the Amish use batteries. They use diesel
On a
engines.
job site.
The Amish people use battery powered lights in their houses.
At home? Really?
Yeah. Most of them
Makes
can
sense.
use battery.
Where do they?
It's just not fixed. Nothing they do makes sense, bro. Like, why do they shave their beards like that? Like, start there.
It's kind of fun. That's just because it's kind of fun.
It's kind of fun like one day when you do it. It's kind of not fun when your pastor's like, Yoder, that is a carnal mustache you're growing there. Do you not care for your brother, for your sisters or your brothers who will be, what would we call that?
Not
Drawn
quite
to
sure where
carnal
you're going,
lust
Dan.
over it?
Oh.
Drawn to carnal lust over your mustache?
Is that happening right now for you, Dan?
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
That's a mustache right there.
Is there a mouth in there somewhere?
Yeah, look.
So, no, the Amish would not be in better shape. They are already used to women who don't wear deodorant. They are used to that already. But
they're not
yeah.
relying on batteries and stuff.
Oh, dude. They're relying on everything we're relying on.
You think so?
Absolutely. That the saying that they're not relying on it would be like saying that the people that stay at my off-grid cabin with a generator and an air conditioner and 2 gallons of gasoline and a propane grill outside and solar powered lights are legitimately living off grid. No, it's they're having a little off-grid vacation when they're up there. They are not roughing it.
Right.
All that it takes is no support for 3 days instead of 2, and then the roughing it starts. And the Amish are the same way. The Amish are relying on all of the systems we're relying on. Trust me. Like, name any system other than plugged into the grid that they're not relying on. They're still using fossil fuels to create the batteries. There's still somebody else who's using their combine to get the grain to feed their horses. You know what I'm saying? They're not ahead of us if everything goes away.
Well,
They might be behind us if everything goes away.
I've never been to an Amish farm, so I don't really know. But it seems to me like they would at least deal with things a little better than, like, say, my wife and kids would.
Maybe than your wife and kids, but
well, that might be
Ellet's a pretty good woodsman
because of control.
Yeah.
Because of control.
Yeah. They might not be allowed to have issues with things.
Yeah, I don't know.
What about you, Dan? It sounds like you've been thinking about this for longer than we have. What do you think flourishing?
Yeah, I've been thinking about it.
Human flourishing looks like.
I just don't know that I don't know that we can appreciate that it's not comfort. Flourishing and comfort are not actually the same, one and the same thing. I think that we think that if life is comfortable, then that person is flourishing. But I would contend that if a person is comfortable to the point where, or if a person is comfortable to the point where they are not moving forward and developing, then they are not flourishing. Because flourishing to me implies that you are reaching your potential. You wouldn't be like, oh, this oak tree that I have neutered down to a bonsai tree is flourishing, when the oak tree is supposed to be, 200 feet tall and 6 or 8 feet around. Just because you're keeping it alive as a bonsai tree doesn't mean that it's flourishing. And just because you've got it trimmed up nice and it's pretty doesn't mean it's flourishing. It's actually starved compared to its personal potential when you have it in that state. And the reality is, it goes back to the old stories of like the fact that most trees have to go through hard times in order to get deep roots, and they have to progressively go through harder and harder times as they get bigger, or they just get knocked over by average storms. Like a tree that doesn't have a good taproot that gets knocked over by a storm, and you're like, oh, look at that. It was sitting right on a rock and its roots were all out here. And you looked at it and you thought, well, you thought it was flourishing, but it wasn't, because it didn't have, it hadn't developed correctly. But you don't know that it wasn't flourishing until it gets knocked over by something that it shouldn't have been knocked over by. And like the bonsai tree, like let's say you got an oak tree on a bonsai setup and it's sitting there on the rocks. Well, what's it take? Well, you forget to water it for a few weeks and it's done. I don't know if that actually describes what is and what isn't flourishing, other than on a philosophical level, though.
All right. Well, maybe that's a conversation to continue next week. Flourishment.
Okay. Flourishment. You guys are gonna read the book though, right? You have
Yes.
Audible, Jimmy?
I'm going to.
I'll give it a try.
You both have
I
Audible.
deleted Audible not that long ago.
I bet you can get a free version of it somewhere. Why'd you delete Audible? What kind of sense does that make?
I wasn't using it.
Do you run out of space on your phone or what?
No, I was just going through and deleting things that I haven't used in a long time, and that was one of them.
So you just deleted the app from your phone.
Yeah, I'm sure I still have an account. I just don't have it on my phone.
Okay. We'll get it and listen to that book. The Machine Stops.
All right. All right. And all you listeners out there, listen to that book this week too.
Yeah, read
And
that
then,
book and comment
Yeah.
what you thought about it.
Comment on it. Yep.
Did
Comment
we have
what
a
you
listener?
think
Okay.
flourishing is. I don't know. Do you have YouTube pulled up? Is Roy watching?
I don't know. I'll pull it up.
He's probably got finals tomorrow.
I think he had his final today.
Nice. So maybe he's celebrating by watching our podcast. Nice.
He said
So maybe he's
he called me earlier and said he didn't think it went very well, but he completed it. He ran out of time.
Was it his theology one? Oh no, that's
Yeah,
the one he was working on last.
I don't know that we actually talked about which one it was.
Are you off? Are you off or not?
What?
Are you still recording?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you signed off, so I was like looking at the YouTube chat deal.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Well, all right. Well, thanks for tuning in, everyone. We'll see you next week. Not your average guys.